My name's Casey Newton, and I'm the CEO of OMNI Consulting Solutions. So I came from a very entrepreneurial family, not with a lot of money, but a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. So my father was a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, one-man show tow truck operator. And my mother and my stepfather owned a car auction dealership. So I got to see lots of entrepreneurial ideas and a lot of spirit. And I think it really shaped how I see the world. Yes, I have one sister. Her name is Emily, and she lives near the Bay Area in California. I'm originally from Southern California. Yeah, my sister lives in the Bay Area from school and work. How do I get to the academy? So not a lot of people know that I took a long road to the academy. I worked full-time, and I went to school full-time in several community colleges, and somehow, some way, I wiggled my way to apply and get accepted. And to this day, I'm not exactly sure how that all worked out. I just know it worked out. So I lived actually very close to George Air Force Base, which is no longer an Air Force Base, and got to see F-4 training planes fly over my house all the time, and so I had always had an interest in flying and in the Air Force. I also know it's a path to a career and the ethics that go along with it. So seeing those planes and thinking about bettering myself as a result was always in the back of my mind. I met a girl who had a dad who introduced me to the Air Force Academy, and I always wondered if maybe it was a way of him getting me out of the state and onto something else. So my time at the academy was hard. It was academically challenging, but I also didn't have to work full time, and so there was a lot of goodness in that perspective. Also, being older than my peers, a lot of those my peers had envy of going to quote unquote real college, and I had done that, been there, done that, working all the way through, and so that perspective really carried me through the academy with some grace and thankfulness for being there. I would say it was academically easier for me than most. Socially easier for me than most because of that 4-year age difference. And I think I carried through to my commissioning, ultimately getting into contracts, which is like the business side of the Air Force, and really studying and understanding how the business side of the Air Force works and how contractors are hired. Graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2000, and I separated from the Air Force in 2006. During that time, I was at 5 different locations. I ended up at the Space and Missile Systems Center in Los Angeles. While I was there, I was deployed to Iraq for practically a year with the Army during Operation Enduring Freedom, and got out shortly thereafter. When I separated from the Air Force, I felt I was done with the industry, and I guess I was at the time. And if you recall the Great Recession of 2008, if you do the math, with 2006 when I separate to 2008, I went to General Electric, and I was on the supply and on the housing and commercial supply side. So when residential and commercial real estate dried up, so did that business. So I had the opportunity to open a business unit for General Electric and close that business unit for General Electric. So it gave me some good perspective on hiring and letting go and the finances behind it, and also the whims of the economy and what that looks like. And so when the real estate market dried up, I came back to the industry. And was thankful again for what it offers, which is the stability of money and government long-term contracts. And I was also very comfortable with contracts and knowing that there'll always be another one spent. And sometimes that's a fear of people getting out of the military, is they want to be working for a big company and they want that perceived stability. Well, I could tell you that the stability wasn't there for me in a big company. But on the government side, there's contracts, there's long-term money. That money doesn't go anywhere, and understanding like how to position for that money is also something to consider when you're working at OMNI and growing the business. The time frame would have been 2008 to 2011, and when we incorporated of September 2011, and then working from there. I started OMNI because I saw an opportunity. I saw how the customer worked. I saw the need in the market for a company that empowers people, gives them options outside of just direct bill job, and that's all there is, and expanding people's potential in that way. I did not appreciate the regiment of the military all the time. That is translated into what I would call typical services companies that service the government, and I saw an opportunity to just do that differently. Couple that with my background and family and that entrepreneurial spirit, I knew that was always in the cards, and it was just a matter of timing. So the timing approached when the contract I was on was coming to completion, and that my customer advocacy would allow me to start my own company with OMNI. And a couple of the partners that are OMNI still, we got together and worked out a plan that allowed it all to come together. A little bit of luck and a lot of bit of perseverance. The priorities of OMNI when we started out was to create that environment where we were all peers and we all contributed, and we were all direct bill and keeping that overhead low, so that we can be price competitive, especially when we were early on and had to have those niches. But you couple that collegial atmosphere and approach and looking for new business and being able and knowing you can win it from a cost perspective, that's what it's built on. Leadership to me is always leading by example and leading from the front. I would never ask something of someone else that I'm not willing to roll up my sleeves and do. And when you take that approach, everybody's willing to do it. If you're flicking things around because you don't want to do that or it appears that way, people may do it, but they're going to do it begrudgingly and probably not do it well. So always lead from the front, be willing to do it yourself, and then give people the opportunities to do it themselves. I would explain OMNI culture as empowering, entrepreneurial, and always have your back. The empowerment and the always have your back are always coupled. Empowering means I will allow someone to run off with their own things, give them guidance on when it may not be aligned with strategic goals, but always be willing to help step in and do it with them when necessary. That to me is empowerment. That to me is having someone's back. And I always like to say, there's nothing that you can mess up that I can't unmess. So run hard, run fast. It's not a mystery to the people that work with me and for me to know that I'm always passionate about solutions and thinking of new ideas and ways of delivering those solutions. Never will I be accused of someone who sits in my seat and just collects a paycheck. I am always enthusiastic, happy to do, and running forward with looking at new products, looking at new services, new ways to package it. It's just who I am. I often tell people that I'm like a duck on the surface of the water. It looks calm and cool, but underneath the water, his feet are paddling 1,000 miles an hour. So at OMNI, we were born in Air Force Space, and the birth of a new service, the U.S. Space Force, is obviously exciting to OMNI and exciting for the potential it is, and looking for those new opportunities and ways to deliver those solutions to this new customer. That's all exciting stuff, and something we're super passionate and focused on. Also, the growth of the company, it's steady good growth over time, to me, is a reflection of doing good things and offering good opportunities to people and to our customers. So seeing that validation in our growth and the potential for more keeps me going and keeps me jumping out of bed in the morning and passionate about doing what we're doing. We embrace this idea of being a family, and like any family, there's ups and there's downs in the family, but at the end of the day, you're still family. So one of the things that I like to espouse is people find new opportunities sometimes, and some of those opportunities are awesome, and I love seeing that growth within the person and those new opportunities that present themselves. But at the end of the day, they're always going to be family, and they're treated as such. And I think that's such a core element of how we practice the business. So the strategy to grow OMNI is to keep doing what we're doing. It's really to stick to our core, stick to our principles, and keep providing to our back to ourselves, and keeping that embodiment together. But grow strategically. So obviously the Space Force and its growth is a priority for us. Some of the great work out on the East Coast is different from our core, what used to be core business, and now it's a functional area that we want to do more with. And they're doing such great stuff that we want to bring that back to our existing customer base. So there's growth and potential there. The solution side, where we're developing OMNI Space Access and looking at more of the creative ways of delivering products, is also an area of growth. It's also just a great fun thing that myself and others want to participate in and think about, and how would you package to bring forward to one customer or another. It's just exciting work. So I've worked for a customer in one capacity or other for every year I've worked for OMNI. There are times when I've worked overhead, but I've always had customers sprinkled in there, either full-time or part-time. And one thing I am proud of and like to talk about is that my customers rarely know that I run a company. I'm putting in my hours with them. I bring solutions to them and providing them the service that I would expect any of OMNI people to provide. So running a company on the side and after hours and on weekends is just part of how we're built, and frankly the customer doesn't even know that exists, and that's the way I think it should be, and it's a reflection of the quality of service that we provide. So doing quality work and the certifications that go along with that quality work are really agnostic from each other. At OMNI, we do encourage people to get certifications, and we do that because it's important to our customers that we have validated processes in place for that. So project management professional, Lean Six Sigma, Scrum, these are all validations that we understand process and know how to apply it to our customers. So it's important to them, it's important to us, and we pursue them where we should and can. So OMNI is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. It's because ownership of the company are veterans, and they have this disabled designation, including myself. So that allows us to compete for contracts that are set aside for that type of business, and it's one of our success stories with the Veterans Administration in particular. We're approached by companies often that look to us for staff augmentation, and that is just not business that we want to pursue. That's not the kind of services we deliver. So you'll hear it often referred to as a pass-through or pass-through businesses, where you bring on employees and you give them the shell of benefits, and then they do the job they would normally do through another company. And that's just not who we are. We have camaraderie, we have processes, we have certifications, and oftentimes we use the term we pull our weight and some as a subcontractor role to a prime, or when we're writing proposals, whatever that is. Sometimes we use the term we punch above our weight. There's two areas of growth of the business currently. There's the new Space Force. There's lots of new areas in Colorado Springs and elsewhere related to Space Force that we see as tangential to what we do, but certainly something we can offer the customer that others may not. The other place is with the Veterans Administration and the big win we had with OSIC and VA, and the functions that are going on there and the people that belong to OMNI that are working those efforts bring a whole new way of looking at that business. And we'd love to see more of that in the VA and also bring that back to our Space Force customer. The prime and subcontract relationship in government contracts is in some ways frenemies. Sometimes you partner together and sometimes you don't, and that is just a part of the business. And it's got a little unique within this industry that happens. Usually, in my perception of others, is that you team most of the time together and that you form the long-term strategic plans together because you have complementary products. Here, it's a case by case, and in our case, oftentimes we're subcontractors to our primes, and they're our customers, and we deliver to them as much as we deliver to the government customer, and that's an important thing to understand. That we have lots of different customers, no matter what seat you sit in. We all have customers, and we're trying to make that customer successful. There is a lot of paperwork in subcontracts, and it's typically the bigger the company, the more paperwork. So without naming names, usually the harder companies to deal with are the larger companies for paperwork reasons. But they also provide the most opportunities. So, pick your poison. The government as an industry is called an industry for a reason. There is a lot of rules and regulations, and the sales cycles are just much longer. So there's bigger upfront investments to get into government contracts. One of the success stories that I like to tell in that regard is we've consulted with companies that don't have government business but have applicable services and products, and we've actually been paid to consult with those companies and help them grow that government business because we understand how that all works. We can also be honest about those upfront investments. A successful prime subcontract relationship to me is where everybody's part of the same team and everybody is looking at each other to pull their own weight, and that ultimately it's the customer's needs rising above any contractor bias or relationship issues that might be out there, and the team's rising above that and delivering to the customer. So OMNI's differentiated ourselves in this space, in the government space, by always using our project management as the leading edge spear of our products. What that means is we look at everything as a short-term event, and we break down really large, complex problems into achievable activities, and then we get after those activities to deliver for our customers. So no matter how big the project or how small the project is, it's all about deliverables and bringing things and creating things. It's not about just turning the wheel. I think the main catalyst for wanting teammates is the unique solution that they bring forward, one, but also it's just that pool of talent that they may have on staff, or it's the connected talent that they could have if you win a new contract. So one of the things we really worked hard on the last couple of years is developing that talent pool for when we win a contract. And we have thousands of resumes now in our database, and we have notes on each of them that we've spoke to and got very coordinated about how we communicate that value of a particular candidate and the timing of bringing that candidate on. One of the foundational skill sets we have as a company is that pool of talent and bringing them in, and the ones we of course have on staff. We are really passionate about delivering solutions and looking at the problem differently and delivering those back to the customer for consideration, not necessarily that they have to take on a new process or take on a new tool or product, but the idea that our wheels are always turning and that we have small teams working on what we see as customer challenges and coming up with those solutions to meet those. That is the core of what makes this company fun. It's what at the core of what makes the work fun, and it gets everybody energized to look at it from that lens. Strategy creates these boundaries to play in so that everybody's focused enough. But then a lot of entrepreneurialism and business growth is trying different things within that space. And so answering how we're going to grow, or being put on the spot about how we're going to grow, feels a little awkward to me. But at the end of the day, it's creating those barriers, boundaries of which we're all focused on. Maybe you call it our North Star, and then trial and error. Try different things. Go after new business. It's not all going to work. But it's understood that it's not going to work, and being okay that is in fact part of the process. Which customer to grow in? Should we all jump into SP and swim hard in that TSSCI SAP world? I don't know. Should it be commercially focused, product focused? I don't know, and I wish, if I did know, I'd certainly aim my resources more accurately at that. But that's not how the world turns. So our three main business lines at OMNI are project management, financial management, and operations management. And those definitions are quite coupled with the people we have on staff. So we have those three business units. We have three leads for each of those. We have one lead for each of the three. And we package our services around that offering. The biggest thing I see with people coming into this industry from the outside coming in, they're just not quite prepared for how big these bureaucracies are. The navigation of these bureaucracies is a lot of the job itself. We talk agile and lean with our customer, and they understand the concepts behind it, but the practice of doing it and the work that happens within it are often disconnected. And so it's a long haul and a lot of work to be effective in those bureaucracies. And if you are not prepared with how to do that, you can be extremely frustrated. And so having an understanding that that's the case, and then knowing that you have it in you to fight through that for the success of yourself and your customer, is really where the rubber meets the road. Should we do something about our annual party as an example?
Well, all right, sorry. That was going to actually, so, all right, I'll just spring it on you now. All right, so Nate says that we should go to Vegas for our annual party. What say you?
Ooh.
It was on tape.
Nobody wants to go to Vegas more than I do for the annual party, so let's just start at that. I want to make sure our security officer's cool with it. Mexico's probably off the table, but we'll just leave Las Vegas as on the table for now. One of the most important distinctions as a company we have is our connectedness to each other. And with COVID-19, we have been stressed in how we keep that connectedness alive. And so we've invested in all of the infrastructure that allows the company parties online to exist, to do scavenger hunts online as they exist. But nothing really replaces that annual get-together where you all shake hands and hug and talk about your year and talk about its successes and where things came short, and really build those bonds that relationships need to thrive. And that is essential to how we do our business. It's essential to how we feel quality in the works and relationships that we have, and something that we definitely want to keep going as soon as COVID-19 is over. So to the young people looking at this industry, I would highly recommend doing a short internship in a company like OMNI, where we can get you introduced to the types of application of your skills within the government space to see if that is super interesting to you. There's lots of different opportunities and different paths you can go, and one of the smart ways to do that would be through an internship at OMNI. One of the best things of having a customer like the Space Force is the mission itself. And having been in the Air Force for the 6 years that I was, I know firsthand how that space helps our military. Everything from making a phone call in the most austere areas of Afghanistan when they need it, to knowing where they are on the planet with GPS. These things matter, and what an exciting customer to support to help them field those systems and save lives. One of the most exciting things about the Space Force is its appetite for our international partnerships. Unprecedented, we want to do space domain awareness, so that's knowing what's going on in space at any given time. So knowing what's up there is step one, and we know that we just can't do that alone. So we are looking to our international partners to help us make that a reality. There's just not enough budget in the U.S. budget, military budget, for doing it alone. And so this new appetite for international partnerships in space is new, and it's fun, and it's different. In the past, we've done F-35 as a joint program office with the intentions of selling those aircraft to our allies. But this is really different. This is combining systems. This is real trust at its most, at its core. So combining our systems and trusting what we're seeing with those systems in a allied coalition way is a really exciting facet of the Space Force.